So good morning, all of you. Sonali, welcome to the class. I hope I'm audible and visible. Please give me a thumbs up. Dr. Akhiraj, Sonali, please give me a thumbs up if my audio video is clear. Very nice, everyone. Welcome to the session of Crack NEET PG New Pattern Questions in Dermatology. I hope everyone is enjoying the new pattern questions, the long clinical case scenario based questions, which we might get in the upcoming NEET PG entrance examination. Welcome, Gohar, Kiara, Khanna, Dr. Study, Mr. Rose, Thiru Malaysia, Sashi, Namita, Akshay. Everyone, welcome to the class. I hope this session will be as beneficial as the previous one. Now, before the others join, let me introduce some of the courses or some of the test series going on Academy. I myself, Dr. Cheshta Agarwal, your educator on Unacademy. I got NEET PG All India rank 261. So I will give you the tips and tricks which you should be using for cracking your exam. The next is we are going on with many batch courses which might help you for your upcoming entrance. The one which I request everyone to join is the system-wise clinical rapid revision batch course. Now this batch course is it has already been started from 1st of the March. Now we want that this batch course should be joined by all of these students who will be preparing for who will be giving NEET PG 2021 because this is this will give you the questions system wise instead of subject wise. You will get questions, for example, cardiovascular system questions. They will give you systems of gastro, CNS, etc. And that is what we are expecting in this upcoming NEET PG entrance examination. Please remember, everyone, that there is no change in short subjects because you might get integrations of radiology, you might get integration of orthopedics, but it is very rare to see integrations of short subjects like psychiatry. You will get direct questions of psychiatry. Even dermatology, you will get more of isolated questions compared to integrated. So please take care of the short subjects even now also, because they do carry a good weightage for your entrance examination. But we still are not aware like how much of what the different subjects questions weightage is given, because nothing has been mentioned in the brochure. Requesting all of you to get enrolled into this batch course. Is it a MCQ based class? Yes, Kiara, this is absolutely an MCQ based class, and I will be taking the MCQs in the pattern of upcoming NEET PG. Okay, so I think you're attending this class for the first time. Don't worry, it's only the MCQ based session. Now, next, we have many free test series going on for NEET PG 2021. Please give this series of 20 questions at 8 p.m. FMG, it is 8:30. For NEET 2022, that is next pattern, it is 9 p.m. INS CT is 9:30. Grand test at 10 p.m. and scholarship test at 5 p.m. So requesting all of you to please get enrolled in any of these courses. Now, lastly, we have two type of subscriptions, Iconic and Plus. Now, I request all of you, those who are eligible for NEET PG 2021, please get yourself enrolled for at least a month, because after that, you don't have time. So please get yourself into the batch course, that is the system-wise batch course. Plus, I'm also conducting a plus course, which will start, yesterday it has started at 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. If you use the code Cheshta10, you'll get the discount of additional 10%. That is, you'll get the course in 4,500. And if you are in your pre-final year MBBS, then you can go for 1 year, 1.5 year, or 2 years of subscription. Using the code will give you additional discount. Lastly, please remember, for Iconic subscription, which means that you will get access to Unacademy and Prep Ladder, please get an Iconic subscription. 1 year subscription is 55,000 rupees. Using the code will give you the same thing in 49,500. So we have around 50 students who have joined. I welcome everyone, requesting everyone to give me a thumbs up so that we can move to the first question of the today's session. Starting with the first question of the today's session, giving you 60 seconds to solve this. All of you, please read the question carefully. Very nice, Kiara, Sonali, Point Break, Achla. Very well done, Mr. Rose. We have many more students, Vaishali, Deepu, Mutalakshmi, Priya, Tirumalesha, Anirudh. So this question is a very easy question actually. The only thing is the length of the question is very long. What does the question say is that a 79-year-old woman was referred from a local clinic to the dermatology department in October 2010 for treatment of a lesion on her eyelid. Approximately 3 years earlier, she had developed a small round-shaped black nodule on her left lower lip. The nodule has gradually extended in one direction toward the proximal side of the inner canthus. So this is now we are clear on looking at the clinical picture or on reading the clinical scenario that there is a black nodule which is present over the lower part of the left eye. On doing the histopathology, there were nest of atypical cells which resembles the epidermal basal cell. This is a very, very important clue. The nest of atypical epithelial basal cells present in the dermis, which are few lesions are in contiguous with the epidermis, is a classical feature of basal cell carcinoma. Requesting all of you to please remember the histopathological finding of BCC also. I have seen a lot of questions which are coming, either they will give you a histopathological image or they will give you a brief case scenario along with the histopath description, and they will ask you the diagnosis. Can you tell me how does these cells, is there any particular arrangement of the cells in the histopathology of basal cell carcinoma? And if answer is yes, what is that pattern called as? Anyone? Very nice, Dr. RBC. That pattern is called as palisading arrangement. Now, what is this palisading arrangement? I think everyone should know this. This is very important. You all know that this is stratum corneum. Then below this, you have stratum granulosum, which has multiple granules. Then you have large or thickest layer, that is stratum spinosum, and then you have stratum basale. Please remember, stratum basale is made up of vertically oriented columnar cell. Please remember this. Stratum basale, this I am talking about the normal skin, normal histopathology of the epidermis. Now, what happens whenever you have excessive proliferation of stratum basale, a characteristic property of the perpendicular nature or vertical nature is maintained. So what happens when there is proliferation? Suppose this is the stratum basale is proliferating, the cells which are present in the periphery will keep on maintaining their vertical orientation like this, while the center cells will be round. So this perpendicular arrangement or a vertical orientation of the marginal cells is called as palisading arrangement. I hope you understood what I'm trying to tell. So these cells, they keep on remaining vertical, even though it is proliferating excessively, but the vertical orientation is maintained, and this perpendicular alignment of the surrounding cells or periphery cells are called as palisading arrangement, seen in the basal cell carcinoma. Okay? And I think rest everything is clear. The commonest site is the inner canthus, but if they ask you in general what is the common site, so suppose if this is the face, I'm very sorry, my drawing is not that great. If this is the face, then you have to make an imaginary line from the angle of mouth extending up to the tragus. The part of the face which is present, above this line is the commonest site where you can see the basal cell carcinoma. Understood this point? If you draw an imaginary line from the angle of the mouth to the tragus, the part above this is the commonest site for basal cell carcinoma. And if they ask you one question, then please remember the inner canthus is the commonest site. Inner canthus is the commonest. So please remember, all and everything is important. And the last point we have discussed yesterday, what is the recently known or recently identified causative pathway for basal cell carcinoma? Please remember, recently the role of sonic hedgehog pathway has been found out for basal cell carcinoma, and that is why we are using the drug like Vesmodegib or Sonidegib. These are the drugs which inhibits the sonic hedgehog pathway. So these are the new drugs which are used to take care of the basal cell carcinoma. Can anybody tell me what is the treatment of choice of basal cell carcinoma? Suppose you get the same patient in your clinical OPDs, you did the biopsy, you are sure that this is a basal cell carcinoma. What will be the treatment of choice for basal cell carcinoma? Anyone can answer this question. How to differentiate basal cell carcinoma and melanoma clinically? Very easily you can differentiate. First of all, looking at the clinical picture, please remember the melanoma is pigmented, because melanoma is what? Abnormal proliferations of the melanocytes. So it will be pigmented. And the next is you have to do the skin biopsy to get a sure answer to this. Okay. The treatment of choice for basal cell carcinoma is Mohs microscopic surgery. Mohs microscopic surgery means we will do sequential excision and we will do the histopathology immediately inside the OT only. And why we are doing this? So that we can preserve more and more of the skin, because it is over the face. You cannot keep on removing the skin from the face. So you will do sequential removal until you get a tumor-free areas. Okay, that is depending upon the histopathology. Please give me a thumbs up, everyone. I have 62 students with me right now. Please give me a thumbs up if you understood. And remember one point: basal cell carcinoma is a locally invasive tumor. It is a locally invasive tumor. It neither spread through blood, neither spread through lymphatics. It is locally invasive. It means it keep on the skin, it keep on spreading on the skin, and that is why it is called as the rodent ulcer. Okay, so that is all about basal cell carcinoma. I think we have discussed a lot. Nothing more than this is required here. Anyways, chalo, let's move to the next question. Ready for the next question? All of you give me a thumbs up if you're ready for the next question. Good. This is a question along with the clinical image. Take your time, read the question carefully. Very nice. I got my first students, Cadbury and Dr. Sonali, Anirudh, DJX. Very well done. Point Break, Aditya, Sai, Yash, Dora, RBCs. Very well done, everyone. I can see a good number of students with the correct answer. Kaushik, Mutalakshmi, NT, Priya, Mr. Rose, Pushkar, everybody, you are right for this question. So 12-year-old female accompanied by her mother reported hair loss for past 6 months after a family conflict. Dermatological examination refused diffuse thinning with short, jagged and broken hairs. Can you see? How is the hairs? You can see that the loss is very haphazard. It is not remained to a particular area. You can see multiple broken hairs present all over the scalp. On looking at more closely with the help of dermoscope, you could find the hairs of different length. What can be the diagnosis? Androgenic alopecia, alopecia areata, trichotillomania or telogen effluvium. Very nice. The correct answer is given by majority of you. Point Break, Cadbury, Anirudh are first 3 students to answer. This is a classical case of trichotillomania. Please remember, the disease, the onset is preceded by a family conflict. Maybe that conflict have induced or this conflict have precipitated this attack of trichotillomania, where the patient starts pulling the hairs. Now, why you have broken hairs? Because when the patient pulls the hair, it might break at a different length, and this is a very classical feature. Can you tell me how will you treat a case of trichotillomania? What should be the treatment you should keep in your mind? How will you treat this patient? You have to give, yes, you have to give behavioral therapy along with that of the treatment of the alopecia or the hair fall. Please give them the behavioral therapy, which is very, very important. Okay, yes, you can give SSRIs as well, but along with that, you have to ask the patient to think something else whenever, because this happens unconsciously also. So you have to give CBT or the behavioral therapy in these patients. And nextly, I just want you to know the 2 signs. Can you tell me what is the sign with respect to the trichotillomania, where you have loss of hair over the crown part, but you have presence of the hairs? Can you see scalp, the crown and the margins over the body? This is called as Freer-Tuck sign. This is called as the Freer-Tuck sign. And what is this? This is the histopathology. Can you see this is a hair? And the hair is broken, and inside the hair you can see the presence of blood. How does it looks like? How does it looks like? It is looking like a hamburger. I hope you can imagine it. It is looking like a hamburger. So it is a hamburger sign. Okay, so please remember these two signs, which are very, very important. You might get these signs in your exam, and that is why I thought of putting the clinical image together so that you will remember it for the further reference. Understood, all of you? Now quickly give me a thumbs up. 60 students, give me a thumbs up. Chalo, very nice. Let's move to the next question given on the computer screen. 60 seconds. 25-year-old patient with the chief complaints of asymptomatic loss at multiple sites of the scalp. There were multiple patches of non-scarring alopecia at the parietal occipital region. Histopathology shows hairless regions with mid-dermis sparse perifollicular lymphocytic infiltrate. Very well done, Gohar, Dr. RBC, Vaishali, Tirumalesha, Shri, Kavita, Harita, Anju, Dr. Sunali, Raj, Dr. Ranjana, very well done, all my dear students. Vaishnavi, Kanchana, Anirudh, Shamim, Yusuf, Like to Grow, Dora, Anurag, Rahul, Kaushik, Priya, Murugan, Dr. Khadija. We have 71% students, Sendhu, Pushkar, Dr. Akhiraj, Aditya, Shashi, Mayank, Muthulakshmi, Vandana, Newton, and many more. Venkateshan, Shivani, Aarti Vadva, very well done, all of you. So this is again a very, very interesting questions from the hairs only. Please tell of remaining options. Okay, so okay, I'll tell you about the remaining options, but for a while, just Priya, you want me to tell about this question or about the previous questions? I will discuss this question first, and I'll discuss the remaining options of the previous questions. Okay, okay, I'll definitely discuss, don't worry. Now for this question, a 25-year-old male who presented with chief complaints of asymptomatic loss of hair. So you have asymptomatic hair loss. On examination, you have non-scarring alopecia present mainly at the parietal and occipital region. You have no associated skin changes. Histopathology shows perifollicular lymphocytic infiltrate. First of all, you should know what are the causes of non-scarring alopecia. Can anybody tell me what are the causes of non-scarring alopecia and how to remember it? Non-scarring alopecia, what are the causes and how to remember it? So remember A and T. A stands for androgenic alopecia, anagen effluvium, and alopecia areata. The next is T for trichotillomania. Anything else? Telogen effluvium. And the last one, very correctly said by Dr. Ranjana, tinea capitis, non-inflammatory type. So please keep in your mind, these are some of the causes of non-scarring alopecia. Now please remember, you can easily rule out androgenic alopecia and telogen effluvium. Can you tell me why? Why you can rule out anagen effluvium and telogen effluvium in this particular case? Can you tell me why? How does anagen effluvium and telogen effluvium present? They will present with diffuse hair loss. It is not localized to a particular area. Understood, Aditya? Yes, you are also right that there is no chemotherapeutic agent. But before that, please remember, it says that you have patchy hair loss. But in anagen effluvium and in telogen effluvium, you will have diffuse hair loss. So these two options can easily be ruled out. Please give me a thumbs up if you understood till here. All of you, please give me a thumbs up. That is the one thing. So telogen effluvium and anagen effluvium cannot be the answer because they will present with diffuse hair loss. Now, androgenic alopecia, they are patterned hair loss. Patterned hair loss means either they will have female pattern hair loss or male pattern hair loss. And you know how does male pattern present? It will present with bitemporal recession, while female pattern present with crown hair loss, and that is not given in the question. So it cannot be androgenic alopecia. Understood till here? Please give me a thumbs up quickly if you understood here why it is not androgenic alopecia. Why it is not telogen effluvium? Why it is not trichotillomania? Because there is no history of any psychiatric illness or no history of pulling is given in this question. So patient is not pulling the hair, so it cannot be trichotillomania. And why it is not tinea capitis? Because the question clearly says that there is no associated skin changes. In the patients of tinea capitis, you will see presence of scales. associated with itching, but the hair loss here was completely asymptomatic. Asymptomatic hair loss is seen in this particular individual. Did you understand? Please give me a thumbs up, each and every one of you, if you understand how to come to a diagnosis of alopecia areata. Very nice. Another point. Please remember, in the patients of alopecia areata, what happens? You have T lymphocytes which are directed against the pigmented cells. And where are these pigmented cells present? They are present in the hair bulb. So in the patients of alopecia areata, you will see peribulbar lymphocytic collection, which is given here. So now we are sure that we are dealing with a case of alopecia areata. Everybody, I hope you understood this. And can you tell me what does this appearance called as, where you have presence of the T lymphocytes around the hair bulb? What is that appearance called as? Very nice, Sonali. That is called as swarm of bee appearance. And this is how, you might have seen this swarm of bee. Either if you are living in buildings or flats, you can see this over the windows, or you can see this over the tree trunks, in the forest. So similar appearance. Imagine that this is a part of the hair and these are the T lymphocytes. Can you see this is the hair and there are so many T lymphocytes surrounding, so many blue dots surrounding the shaft, the bulb of the hair, and this given appearance which is called as swarm of bee. I hope it is clear to all of you. Please give me a thumbs up, everyone, if you understood this question. Very interesting question. And please remember what is swarm of bee appearance on histopathology. Clinically, it will have patchy hair loss, somewhat like this. Alopecia areata will have patchy hair loss, where you have complete loss of the hair, but the hair follicle, you will see empty hair follicles when you examine it closely. Okay? Now only 11 students have given me thumbs up. What about the remaining? We have 60 students with us. I am assuming that everybody is following what I am teaching. Please give me a thumbs up, all of you. Anybody has any confusion? Now somebody have asked me the options of the previous question. So I think Priya have asked me the question. So alopecia areata is clear now. Alopecia areata will have a complete loss of hair. Priya, I hope you understood. Please say yes. And androgenic alopecia, as I've told you, you will have patterned hair loss. You have recession of the frontal margin in the androgenic alopecia of male pattern, and in female pattern, you will have loss of the hair over the crown. Okay, and telogen effluvium will have generalized loss of the hair. This is because of conversion of anagen into telogen and increase in the proportion of the telogen. Okay, so very well done. We have 86 thumbs up. Very nice. And let's move to the next question. Everyone, the next question is given on the computer screen. 60 seconds for you. Very well done, Puneet, Anirudh, Dora, Cadbury, Kaushik. Very well done. Kanchana, Point Break, Mr. Rose, Venkateshan, Vishali, Sonali, Saranya, Aditya, very well done. If you have any doubt related to the questions, please join the Plus courses which are going on. This is the last month. I request everyone to start preparing. You have to start preparing, otherwise you will not recall whatever you have read. So it's a high time, start your preparation now. Good. So what does the question says? A 39-year-old, a 39-year-old truck driver presented to emergency department reporting several weeks of generalized weakness, headache, nausea, migratory arthralgia. Physical examination reveals ulcerated plaques on the upper lip, macular rash with three crater-like scarred painless lesions on the glands, alopecia, non-pruritic palmar rash, bilateral submandibular lymphadenopathy. Very well done. We have many students who have answered this question. Can you tell me what is this? What is this? What is the diagnosis here? Which stage? This is a classical case of secondary syphilis. Now, how to come to the answer? First of all, truck drivers are high risk population. High risk population, they have a higher incidence of having multiple sexual partner or sexual exposure to a sex worker. So they are high risk individuals. Now, this patient have presented with ulcers over the lip, ulcers over the glands, as well as non-pruritic lesions, maculopapular lesions over the body, palm soles, as well as lymph node enlargement. All of these are the feature of secondary syphilis. And please remember, in secondary syphilis, you have a very characteristic hair loss, which is called as moth-eaten alopecia. So it's looking as if some insect have eaten the hairs. Okay, I think you can see. So these are called as the moth-eaten. Please remember this clinical image, very important. You can get the same image or a similar image in your exam, and they can ask you that what is this moth-eaten type of alopecia seen in which condition? Now, can you tell me, how will you treat a case? Suppose if this patient comes to you and you made the diagnosis of syphilis, can you tell me how will you treat this patient now? What will you give in this patient? Anybody can tell me the answer, the exact answer. So Dora, I want the exact answer. You have to tell me the dose of benzathine penicillin, as well as you have to tell me the number of injections you have to give them. Single dose, 3 dose, or how many doses you have to give. Siddharth, what should be the dose? So, okay. Rahul says 2.4 million international unit of benzathine penicillin, 3 doses. Anurag is also in favor of 3 dose. Priya is also in favor of 3 dosage. Please remember, everyone, in secondary syphilis, you have to give a single dose only. Only in the later stages, that is latent syphilis or tertiary syphilis, you will give 3 doses, which are 1 week apart. For secondary syphilis and primary syphilis, you can give a single dose of benzathine penicillin, 2.4 million international unit. 2.4 million international unit. It should be given after doing a sensitivity test in such a way that you have to inject 1.2 million in each buttock. Okay, it is given intramuscularly and it should be given 1.2 million in each buttock. Understood this point? Very important. Single dose of 2.4 million international unit has to be given in this patient. Very well done. Very well done. Now, suppose, can you tell me what should be the investigation of choice which can be done to monitor this patient? You are sure by looking at this patient or clinical history that this is a case of syphilis. But now you have to monitor because you have started the treatment. You have started the benzathine penicillin. Now, what is that investigative modality which you should use so that you can monitor whether the patient is improving or not? Anyone? So DJX, Aditya and Dr. Anjana, Puneet says it is VDRL. Anurag says it is FTA ABS. Sindhu is also in favor of VDRL. Please remember, all my dear students, please remember, for monitoring the treatment response, always choose either VDRL or rapid plasma regain, which means that you have to choose non-treponemal serological test. Definitely, you use VDRL nowadays, so you will use VDRL as a investigative modality to look for the treatment response. Why we are not using FTA-ABS? Can anybody answer this? Why we are not using FTA-ABS as told by Anurag? Or why we are not using TPHA? Why we are not using TPI? These are treponemal serological tests which remains positive throughout the life. It do not decreases on starting the treatment. So if it is remaining positive throughout the life, you cannot judge the treatment response. But VDRL, it keeps on, the titer keeps on reducing. Initially, if the titer is 1:16 or 1:64, it will keep on reducing in such a way that it reduces to 4-fold by 4 week and 8-fold by 8 week of the treatment. Very important. Please remember, for monitoring, you have to use non-treponemal serological test. So I hope this is clear with everyone. This is clear with everyone. I'm not able to understand what does LOC means. Investigation of choice. Acha, there's no investigation of choice. Please remember, this word cannot be used for the syphilis. There is no investigation of choice for syphilis. You have to choose the investigation depending upon the type of syphilis. If you are taking a primary syphilitic case, the investigation becomes different. If you are taking a case of tertiary syphilis, the investigation becomes different. So you cannot comment on investigation of choice with respect to syphilis. Is that clear, Anurag? Please give me a thumbs up if you understood. Please give me a thumbs up if you understood. Ma'am, how to differentiate between lichen planus, pilaris, alopecia? So I'm not able to understand what exactly you want to ask. So I think, Siddharth, please remember, for lichen planopilaris, you have to take a biopsy. If you do the biopsy of the, first of all, it is a non-scarring, it is a scarring alopecia. If you do the biopsy, you will see the findings of lichen planus. That is basal cell degeneration, presence of Max Joseph space, hypergranulosis, and so and so. So for differentiating between the different type of scarring alopecias, you have to do the histopathology. Please say yes if everybody understood. Anurag, Siddharth, please write yes if you understood this. In this picture, how to differentiate from moth eaten. See, first of all, that is what I'm telling you. The history which is given here, it is very, very supportive of syphilis. There is no high risk behavior in the lichen planopilaris. If they are giving you so much history associated with truck driver, with QT, how will you put this into the picture? The ulcerated plaques over the lip, the rash over the glans, you will not see these lesions in a patient of lichen planus. Understood? So looking at the clinical picture as well as the case scenario, you will answer it as syphilis. And please remember, if it is lichen planus, they will give you some more clues. Either they will give you histopathology or they will give you some other findings which supports the diagnosis. Very well done, everyone. So very nice that we could see a lot of students taking part in the today's class. Anyways, chalo, very well done. Let's answer the next question given on the computer screen. Quickly answer, all of you. 60 seconds. Very nice. Very nice. Dr. Puneet, Sonali, DJX, Priya, Achla, Dr. RBC, Deepu, Sai, Dr. Anjana, Anirudh, Sonali, Vasavi, Siddharth, Mutulakshmi, Rahul, Saranya. Very well done, all my dear students. Very well done. I want each and every one of you to give me the correct answer. A known case of phytophotodermatitis taking tablet azathioprine since 6 weeks reported to dermatology clinic with complaints of acute onset of diffuse hair loss in clumps in the scalp region of a week duration. On examining the scalp, there was diffuse and non-scarring alopecia, which was more over the occipital region with intact hair follicle. There were no signs of inflammation or scaling in the scalp. On performing a microscopic examination, anagen nature of the hair was evident. What can be the diagnosis? So what is this a case of? Very nice, everyone. Please remember, patient is started on azathioprine, after which he started developing diffuse hair loss. This is a classical case of anagen effluvium, chemotherapy induced. Now, what happens whenever a patient takes a chemotherapy? It goes and it works against the rapidly dividing cell. And rapidly dividing cells are seen in the anagen phase of the hair. Anagen phase of the hair. So what happens, instead of going from anagen to catagen to telogen, it directly falls after the anagen phase. And that is very important in the patients of anagen effluvium. Understood? So normally, what is the hair cycle? Normally, anagen goes for say up to 2 to 5 years, followed by catagen, which goes for 3 weeks, followed by telogen, which goes for 3 months, and then the hair falls. But when the patient is given the chemotherapeutic agent, it will go and it will act on the anagen phase, and immediately after anagen phase, the hair will start falling. And this type of hair is called as anagen effluvium. Effluvium means hair fall. And which stage of the hair is falling? It is after the anagen phase. So that is called as anagen effluvium. Understood all of you? Any confusion? I am seeing one confusion wala smiley. Anybody is having any confusion? Please ask me now. It is very important because anagen effluvium, telogen effluvium, so many students will get confused in the exams. Please do not make any mistakes. On starting the chemotherapy, either it can be cancer chemotherapy or maybe because of azathioprine, you will develop the hair fall immediately after the anagen phase. It will not go to any other phase. It will immediately fall after the anagen phase. Example of telogen effluvium. Examples of telogen effluvium means what happens in the patients of say typhoid fever or malaria or pregnancy, immediately post pregnancy. What happens? In all these conditions, what happens because of the acute stress? Instead of spending 2 to 5 years in anagen phase, the duration of anagen reduces. So now what happens? Instead of 80% of the hairs in anagen, you will have only 60% of the hair. The hairs are quickly entering into the catagen and the telogen phase, increasing the ratio of telogen from 15% to 30 to 40%. So instead of only 15% falling down, now you have 30 to 40% of the hairs which are falling, which will give rise to telogen effluvium. Understood? Understood. Anurag, please write yes if you understood. In telogen effluvium, the cycle is normal. Only the proportion of the hair in the telogen is increased and the proportion of hair in the anagen is decreased. How much hair falls per day is normal. So please remember, Anirudh, it varies from 50 to 100. You say that around 50 to 100 hairs falls every day. That is normal. Okay. But it varies depending upon your total number of telogen hairs. Chalo, very nice. I think we are done with this. Everybody's question. I hope I'm able to solve everybody's question. Anybody left with any question? No. Chalo, good. Let's move to the next question. Very well done. Puneet, Dr. RBC, Gohar, Anirudh, Achla, Dr. Sonali, DJX, Priya, Aditya, Sindhu, Sai, Sonali, Vaishali, Mick, Mutulakshmi, Dr. Akhiraj, Sapokshi, Deepu, Priya, very nice. Now I think it becomes very easy. 50-year-old lady presented to Derma OPD with excessive hair loss since 15 days. She was diagnosed to have thyroid disease 3 months back, for which she is on medication. On doing trichoscopy, following hairs are seen. What is the pattern of hair loss known as? Very nice, very nice. Can you tell me what is this picture tells you? What does this picture tells you? Anybody can just look at the picture and comment on this. What does this picture tells you? Anybody? The picture shows you a club hair. And which hair is club shaped? It is the telogen hair. So this becomes a case of telogen effluvium because the hairs which are shedding down, they are in their telogen phase. Understood this question or not? Please give me a thumbs up. Although the thyroid disease itself says that you are dealing with a case of telogen effluvium, but on looking at the hair, on doing the trichoscopy, you could find a club hair, which is a telogen hair in a patient of telogen effluvium. I assume that everybody have understood this. Very, very important for your upcoming entrance examination. Please remember, hair disorders is a very important chapter, and that is why in my today's session we have majority of questions from the hair only. Can chemotherapy cause telogen effluvium? See, if you ask can, then I will say yes. But if they ask you, then please write that chemotherapy equals to the anagen effluvium. Everything is possible. See, it's not always the one direct one-to-one relation, but for you all at this level, for your pre-PG preparation, remember that chemotherapeutic agents will give rise to anagen effluvium. Understood this point? Jay, please give me a thumbs up if you understood. Now, Midhum is, what is exclamatory mark here? Please remember, Midhum, In alopecia areata, as I've told you a few minutes back, you have presence of T lymphocytes around the hair bulb like this, which is called as swarm of bee appearance. Now, what happens because of these T lymphocytes? The hair shaft will get thinned out, and ultimately the hair shaft will fall or will break like this. So the hair will become like this because you have breakage from this point. So this type of conversion of the hair is called as the exclamatory hair. Understood? Who have asked me this question? Midhu, please say yes if you understood, because I cannot see whose thumb is that. So please say yes. Anagen effluvium usually, Arjun, I'm not able to understand what exactly you want to ask. Please reframe your question. The next question is where to get exclamatory mark here. So answer is alopecia areata, Anurag. The next question is in anagen effluvium, what is the shape? In anagen effluvium, please remember, you will have the hairs with angulated, the hair bulb is angulated, and you have presence of dermal sheath like this. Understood? Whoever asked me this question, Raj, please remember the anagen effluvium, you will see anagen hair. How to differentiate anagen hair from telogen hair? First of all, the bulb part have a little angulation. And the second thing, you will see presence of thin dermal sheath in a patient of anagen hair, anagen effluvium. But both these things are absent in a patient of club hair. I hope you have understood this question. Raj, please give me a thumbs up if you understood. After surgery, telogen effluvium occurs. Yes, Dr. Siddharth, you are right. After surgery, after any acute stressful event, you will see telogen effluvium. So I think I'm done with everybody's question. Did I left with anybody's question? Yes or no? Chalo, good, good. So very well done for making this class, interactive. Very nice, all of you. Let's move to the next question. Chalo. This, so I know everybody will do. I'm sure that everybody will do this. So very nice, Dr. RBC, J, Cadbury, Wasabi, MB, Kavita, Sapolsky, Anirudh, Namita, Deepu, Mick, Like to Grow, Raj, Mithulakshmi, Rahul, Gohar, Dr. Khatija, Priya, Venkateshan, very well done. Dr. Anjana, Kanchana, Mr. Rose, Fatima, Siddharth, Dr. Akhiraj, Sonali, Point Break, very well done, all my dear students. I was expecting 100% for this question. I think it's the question which I have myself discussed so many times. So those who are attending my class frequently will know this. And very nice, Jay, you are right. This pattern of hair loss is also called as Christmas tree pattern. But in pig, temporal baldness. No, this is not temporal baldness. This is the normal hair pattern. See, in males, you will see, normally also you will see this type of hair. Only in few individuals you will see this type, like a female. In females, the normal scalp will be like this. I'm talking in general, okay? In general, in females, you will have a round-shaped frontal hairline, and in males, you will have this type of S-shaped frontal hairline. Understood this point? Understood, Siddharth? Please say yes if you understood. So that is the normal presentation, okay? Chalo. So if you see that the frontal, and if you compare, see, Siddharth, just have a look over this picture. This is the old picture, and this is the recent picture. If you look at both these pictures of a same individual, this part is maintained. Okay, this part is maintained. Almost like 90% it is maintained. I'm not saying yes, you definitely see a little bit of recession here also, but it is maintained. But if you look at this part, you have widening of part. This part is getting thinned. And very correctly said by J that it gives you an appearance of a Christmas tree. And what is this classification system called as? Anyone? What is this classification system called as? This is called as Oslin's classification. Understood, all of you? This is called as Oslin's classification, where you have crown thickness, or Ludwig classification, which is seen in the patients of female pattern baldness. So please remember, very important question. I found a picture, and that is why I thought of putting it I hope this is clear to all of you. Please give me a thumbs up, everyone, if you understood this. Chalo, very nice. Let's answer the next question. Very nice. Jalpit, J, Vaishnavi, Sindhu, DJX, Wasavi, Priya, Kanchana, Puneet, Siddharth, Aditya. Only 36%. This is a very important line, this one. This is a very important line which you all should know, and definitely they have given you direct. Acha, I think I have marked the options wrong. I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. I have marked it wrong. Very, very sorry for this question. The correct answer is option number C. I'm very sorry. I've marked this option. So please recheck everyone. The correct answer is option number 3. It is by mistake. I have marked option number 1. So everybody who have marked option number C were correct. I could see 46% of you were right. So the important clue, did you all understand? There was a mistake in the poll. The correct answer is option number 3. Please give me a thumbs up if everybody followed. Please give me a thumbs up. So what is Piedras dermatitis? It is a form of insect bite hypersensitivity. Now, sometimes, especially in the rainy seasons, there are different kind of insects which they crawl. If they crawl on the skin and they got rubbed or they got killed, the fluid which is released can cause irritant contact dermatitis. And wherever the insect goes or the fluid comes in contact with the skin, it will cause irritant contact dermatitis. And you will see why it is opposed surface, because wherever the fluid come in contact, suppose if you have a lesion here and if I'll do like this part will touch this part and you will see development of lesion over all the opposing surfaces. So please remember, whenever insect bites, either because of the bite or crushing of the lesions, blister beetle, yes, you can even call it as blister beetle dermatitis, BBD, or insect bite hypersensitivity. Everything can be used to name this condition. Understood, everyone? Very easy question. Now I have a very similar question to this. Do I have it or not? I think I didn't have it. Anyway, chalo. So I'll tell you here only, there is something called as bedbug hypersensitivity. Bedbug hypersensitivity, which is also called as Khatmal dermatitis. How many of you are aware about Khatmal? I don't know what is it called as in English, but it is very popular with Khatmal. How many of you know what is Khatmal? Those who are in the northern parts, those who stay in the northern parts of the country. So Khatmal is it's a bug which remains in the bed linens when the beds are not exposed to sunlight or they are not washed for a longer duration. Now what happens? These bugs will, whenever the patient sleeps, the bug will come out of the bed linings and will cause the very classical clinical lesions. They will form the erythematous papules in group of 3 like this. Everywhere in the body, they will form the papule, erythematous papule in the group of 3. And this is called as breakfast, lunch, and dinner sign. Did you understand this? How long does it take for it to develop? Arjun, it depends. It can take hours to days, but it depends like how frequent or what is the quantity of the irritant fluid you come in contact with. Okay, so usually it occurs within hours or days. Okay, so I hope you understood what is. Yes, they are very unpleasant little creatures, and I've seen, especially those who are staying in the hostels. I've seen so many patients who come to me with these lesions, especially over the face. It is very disabling for the students to have the lesions over the face, common in the hostels which are present in the outskirts. Okay, so I hope this breakfast, lunch, dinner sign is everybody understood what does it mean. The Khatmal dermatitis, they will bite at 3 places, which will form 3 subsequent papules together. So this is called as breakfast, lunch, and dinner sign. So very interesting and funny name. So it is assumed that Khatmal did his breakfast, lunch, and dinner all together, and then he'll go back and will sleep. Chalo, good. Treatment is, first of all, you have to advise the patient to wear full sleeve clothes so that there will be no exposure of the skin to the insect. Definitely, you have to use some insect repelling agent. And for the lesion which I've developed, you have to give topical steroids or antibiotic combinations. You can give both of them. But topical steroid, if there is no secondary infection, you can give only topical steroids. But if you see there is a little bit of infection, you have to give both topical antibiotic as well as topical steroids. Understood, Anirudh? Understood. Please give me a thumbs up if this question is clear to all of you, everyone. Very nice. Chalo, good, good. Let's move to the next question given on the computer screen. I think a very easy question, giving you 30 seconds to solve. No confusion with this question. I think a very, very easy question. And I request all of you to please join my today's plus course at 1 p.m. as I will be discussing the questions related to papulosquamous disorders and vesiculobullous disorders. And we will also cover a little bit of hair shaft disorders today. Just a brief, the named lesions we will do today. So please join me at 1 p.m. At least all the plus students can join, and those who want to join and have not yet taken the subscription, take a 1 month subscription using the referral code CHESTA10. So very nice, Dr. Puneet, Sonali, Dr. RBC, very well done all of you. So a 70-year-old female, that is elderly individual with itchy lesions over the abdomen, thigh, absence of oral lesions, negative Nikolsky sign, subepidermal cleft with infiltrations of eosinophil, classical description of bullous pemphigoid. Nothing more than that I'm taking here because I assume that this question has been discussed so many times in your in my classes, so I'm not going in detail about this. Again, a very easy question. We have already gone through this question. So quickly answer this question in 30 seconds. Very well done, everyone. Sindhu, Priya, Rahul. I was expecting good number of students with the correct answer. What happens to Puneet and all these students? Okay, yes. So Puneet have answered it. Siddharth, Achla, Anirudh, Unni, Akhiraj. Very nice. What about Dr. Anjana? Did you answer this question? I cannot see your name. Chalo. Anyways, so confusion between B and C. Okay, so what is B? What is B here? Necrobiosis lipoidica diabeticorum. Why you have raised glycogen here? Please remember, raised glycogen and a pancreatic tumor. You will not find a pancreatic tumor in a patient of necrobiosis lipoidica diabeticorum. This is a classical case of necrolytic migratory erythema, which is seen in the patients of glucagonoma or pancreatic islet cell tumor. Erythema gyraatum repens, I think we have discussed this. It is a paraneoplastic dermatosis seen in lung cancer, and acanthosis nigricans maligna is a paraneoplastic dermatosis seen in gastric adenocarcinoma. Okay? So nothing more to discuss here. Let's move to the next question. Everyone ready for the next question? Chalo, quickly answer this one. 30 seconds only. Very nice. Good. Very nice. So again, you understood the same question. Tirumalesha, Puneet, Achla, Unni, Priya, Dr. RBC, Anurag, Vaishali, Anirudh, Dr. Anjana, Mitulakshmi, Murugan, Siddharth, Kanchana, Pushkar, Rahul. Very well done on my dear students. Very well done. So I request everyone to, those who are not able to answer this question, try to revise the all the subjects, 19 subjects with us on an academy. Take at least a 1 month subscription. More than that is not required. 1 month will suffice for your preparation of INICT, FMG, as well as NEET PG. So 10-month-old infant presented with fever, skin tenderness, associated blistering with sparing of mucosa following a ear infection. This is classical of staphylococcal scarlet skin syndrome, which occurs because of an exfoliative toxin which goes and damage desmoglein 1. Okay, so please remember it goes and damage desmoglein 1, and that is why you develop sub mucosal, or that is why you develop subcorneal erosions. Another question, again a very easy question, giving you 15 seconds, and I assume that this question is done before, so very easy now. Very nice, everyone. So Mutulakshmi, Deepu, Mayank, everybody is right for this question. Please remember the red firm papules over the face means adenoma sebaceum. The lanceolate hypopigmented macules means what? Ash leaf spot. And both of these are features of tuberous sclerosis. So please remember, this is a classical case of tuberous sclerosis, which is also called as Bonneville disease. Please remember, it is also called as Bonneville disease. Clear with this question? Chalo, quickly answer the next question given on the computer screen. 30 seconds. And okay, chalo, let's answer the question. I'll tell you, there are two possibilities for this question. Very nice. Dr. Sonali J, Dr. RBC, Vaishali, Murugan, like to grow, mix, Sonali Achla, everybody is right. Please remember, all those students who have marked option number 4 is also right, because both of them are same thing. What is actinic dermatitis? It is a variant of photodermatitis which presents with excessive thickening of the skin. So can you see they are mentioning that there is lichenified pigmentation over the plaque which is itchy. So both option number 1 and 4 will be right. So this was a question which should have two options as the correct answer, because actinic dermatitis is a part of photodermatitis only. So all the students who have marked option number D is also right, as well as option number 1 is also right. Now, why this is not airborne contact dermatitis? Can anybody tell me? Why it is not airborne contact dermatitis? What is that one line which is telling you that this cannot be airborne contact dermatitis? Anybody? Very nice. Please remember, in airborne contact dermatitis, skin creases as well as the periocular areas will be involved. So skin crease and periocular area or the eyelids will be involved. Please remember all these points. These are very, very important for everyone to remember. Okay? Please give me a thumbs up if you understood this. Very important for everyone to remember. Chalo, let's do the next question. And where is the next question? I think this everybody knows. So let's see how many of you remember this question. Sindhu, Mr. Rose, Deepu, very well done. Very nice. So what is this? I have only 38% of the students. Now, what does the question say is that a sexually active male having syphilitic canker 6 months ago. After that, he was treated by a local practitioner who have given him some erythromycin. Erythromycin is not the treatment of choice. So the lesion of syphilis was not cured, and the patient have progresses in 2 months to secondary syphilitic stage. But since 6 weeks, he is absolutely normal without any cutaneous lesion. What does it mean? It means that patient have entered the latent syphilis stage. And in latent syphilitic stage, if the patient develops or if a patient have reappearance of the primary canker, it means that you are having relapse of syphilis. Understood this question, all of you? In latent syphilis, if a patient again develop the primary lesion, it means that patient is having relapsing syphilis, and the correct answer becomes option number 2. So with this, we are done with the today's session. I hope you have enjoyed the class. I request all the students who are finding these classes difficult to please take a 1 month subscription. We are here to help you with all the difficult questions and a new pattern question. Please join an academy, NEET PG 2021. Use my referral code CHESTA10 to get the subscription. Bye bye all of you. Take care, and all the Plus subscribers, meet me at 11 p.m. for my Plus course. Till then, bye bye and take care.